Weeds had claimed the old railway yard, crawling over rusted rails and crumbling stone. The massive war train sat like a forgotten beast, its iron body streaked with rust. Its windows shattered, its spirit seemingly long dead. Crows perched along its roof as if keeping watch over the grave of a machine once feared and revered. Asterisk townspeople passed by without a second glance. To them, it was just a relic scrap metal too heavy to move, too broken to fix. A group of younger engineers stood nearby laughing. One of them pointed, "Look, it's him again," he smirked. "Old man Rehmat thinks he's going to fix that monster with prayers and memories." Asterisk Rehmat Ali stood silently at the base of the engine, his old wool coat dusted in rust flakes. His eyes scanned the frame like he was greeting an old friend. He stepped forward slowly, each movement echoing with care. His fingers, though shaky with age, were precise as he placed a hand on the side of the engine, feeling the cold metal like checking a pulse. He closed his eyes and whispered, "You and I. We're not done yet." Asterisk his calm stood in sharp contrast to the mockery behind him. The engineers chuckled louder. "Why doesn't he just go home? It's not 1971 anymore." Asterisk Rehmat didn't flinch. He walked along the length of the train, brushing off dust, ducking under bent pipes, noting where the damage lay. This wasn't just a train to him, it was memory. It was battle. It was blood and fire and victory. As he knelt beside the corroded wheel, the laughter faded into the background. He wasn't listening to them. He was listening to the train. Asterisk the sun had long disappeared behind the mountains, casting the abandoned train hangar into shadows. Inside, only a flickering lantern lit the cavernous space. Dust hung thick in the air, dancing in the faint glow. The war train loomed in the darkness like a sleeping dragon, silent but not forgotten. Asterisk Rehmat Ali crouched by the engine, sleeves rolled up, his weathered hands black with grease. The silence was broken only by the sharp clink of metal tools and the low hum of his breath. He moved with a quiet focus, as though the world outside no longer existed. Each bolt he turned, each pipe he examined, was an act of memory. These parts had once responded to his touch like a living thing. Asterisk old blueprints lay spread out beside him, their edges torn and yellowed with time. He ran a finger along faded lines, recalling each mechanism by heart. Every wire had a name, every valve a story. His eyes, though clouded with age, lit up as he spotted a solution to a broken pressure link. With steady determination, he began welding sparks, flying like fireflies into the dark. Asterisk, the hiss of the torch filled the room, drowning out the ache in his back and the tremble in his hands. In a flash of light, a younger version of Rehmat appeared in his mind-firm hands, steady steps commanding a team during wartime repairs. Now there was no team, only him. Asterisk, a pipe burst suddenly, steam hissing, water spraying across his face. He staggered back, coughing. But then, as the mist settled, he looked at the sealed crack and smiled. It held. Asterisk wiping his face with an oil. Rehmat looked up at the towering train. "One spark at a time," he murmured. "We're coming back." Asterisk the morning sun bathed the town square in soft golden light, but tension hung in the air like fog. Word had spread. The retired engineer was really trying to restart the war train. The news was too absurd for most to believe, so they gathered to see for themselves. Asterisk vendors lined the sidewalks. Children ran barefoot near the tracks, and a group of local mechanics stood with arms crossed, grinning. "He's actually serious," one said, shaking his head. "Thinks he's in some patriotic movie or what?" Another added, "Old man should be gardening, not playing with ghosts." Asterisk camera phones were raised, recording every moment. A young local reporter approached the group, mic in hand. "What do you think of Rehmat Ali's efforts?" she asked with a smirk. "Efforts," one man scoffed. "It's madness. That train is history. Let it stay that way." Asterisk just then, Rehmat appeared at the edge of the square, pushing a small metal cart piled with parts, rusty gears, ancient gauges, and a half-welded piston. His clothes were stained with oil, his hands wrapped in cloth from burns. Sweat trickled down his temple, but he walked with quiet resolve, ignoring the stares, the laughter, the whispers. Asterisk the crowd parted slowly, more out of curiosity than respect. Some chuckled, some watched in disbelief. A bottle rolled toward his cart, but he didn't react. Then, a small hand tugged at his sleeve. A young boy, no older than 8, held up a bottle of water and a small cloth. "Uncle, you're fixing the big train," he asked shyly. Rehmat looked down, eyes softening. "Trying," he said. "Trying to wake up something the world forgot." The boy nodded solemnly and ran back into the crowd. As Rehmat resumed his walk, the mocking crowd slowly fell silent, not out of shame but confusion. For the first time they wondered, what if he's not crazy? What if he's right? Dawn broke with a heavy mist, wrapping the old railway yard in a shroud of silence. Dew clung to the rails like tears, and the hulking war train stood motionless, in its Berthon iron monument to a forgotten era. But inside the engine cabin, there was movement. Rehmat Ali wiped the condensation from a cracked glass panel and adjusted the control levers with precise care. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from age and anticipation. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn brass key, the same key he'd used decades ago during the war. He stared at it for a long moment, his reflection flickering. In the glass panel in front of him, with a deep breath, he inserted the key into the ignition slot. For a second, nothing happened. He turned it a click. Then silence. He tried again. This time, a faint hum vibrated through the engine frame. A soft mechanical groan echoed through the pipes, followed by the whir of ancient gears beginning to awaken. Rehmat stepped back, watching as gauges fluttered, pressure dials shifted, and steam hissed gently from a valve. Suddenly, with a loud metallic cough, the engine shuddered. The silence of the morning shattered as the train let out a low, thunderous roar. Thick black smoke burst from the exhaust stack, billowing into the sky like a war cry. The ground trembled beneath his boots. Lights flickered on along the side of the engine. The sound echoed through the valley enough to draw curious onlookers from the village. One by one, they arrived, mouths open in disbelief. Some dropped their teacups. Others fumbled for their phones. No one said a word. The same people who had mocked him now stood frozen as the war train came to life, groaning, hissing, and pulsing with strength. Rehmat Ali placed his hand on the warm control panel and whispered, "Welcome back, old friend." The war train thundered down the track like a beast reborn, its black metal body gleaming under the midday sun. Steam hissed from its sides in powerful bursts, and the restored horn echoed through the valley, loud and defiant. Villagers lined the tracks, waving and cheering as the once-abandoned relic charged forward with renewed strength. Children ran beside it, laughing, while elders wiped away silent tears. Inside the control cabin, Rehmat Ali stood tall in a freshly ironed uniform, buttons polished, cap straight. His eyes, though sunken with age, gleamed with pride. One hand rested on the throttle, the other on a lever-steady, commanding. The vibrations of the train beneath his feet were like a heartbeat. After all these years, it still listened to him. Government officials and military officers awaited him at the ceremonial station ahead. They had initially ignored his letters and laughed at the idea of some old man restoring a war engine by himself. But now, after the videos of the awakening train had gone viral, they stood ready to honor what they once dismissed. The train pulled into the platform with a mighty screech. A red carpet had been rolled out. Banners fluttered. As Rehmat stepped down slowly, the crowd erupted into applause. Cameras flashed. The same people who had doubted him now clapped with awe. A decorated general approached him and saluted. "You didn't just fix a train, sir," he said. "You revived a legacy." Rehmat smiled humbly. "I only reminded it how to breathe." Later, a plaque was unveiled beside the station, in honor of Engineer Rehmat Ali, who refused to let history die. As the sun began to set, Rehmat stood near the engine once more. The crowd had thinned, but he didn't move. His eyes were fixed on the horizon. The war train had one last ride and he had given it the dignity it deserved.